Actor Arnold Schwarzenegger has been famous for more than 50 years, not because he has the same abilities of Meryl Streep for different accents, but in part because of his ability to promote enthusiastically on every talk show and every venue. We're going to take a quick analysis of his most recent talk show appearance. He was the first guest to appear on Jimmy Kimmel's show just recently after the return of the strike. Let's take a look at how he did and see what lessons can be learned for the rest of us.
Actor have delivered more classic one-liners than probably anyone ever. Yes?
Well, absolutely.
Like the one we always talk about.
So right out of the gate, he looks like he's happy and relaxed and enthusiastic about being there. Jimmy Kimmel could have any Hollywood star he wanted after not being on the air for 5 years. He went with someone who he knew could be reliably a good guest.
I'll be back. Did you know when you saw that on the page that was going to be a big deal?
No, I have to say that most of the lines that I've used.
So he's self-effacing. He could have easily said, of course I knew. It was brilliant, my part. He's not afraid to put himself down and to say he didn't know any better than anyone else. And that's in part what makes him likable. He doesn't come across as conceited or arrogant in any way.
We did not know ahead of time that they're going to be funny lines or they're going to be lines that people will repeat over.
So look at the movement. It's constant movement. His hands are moving. His face is moving. His head is moving. He's not stiff. Now, he plays stiff robots sometimes in movies, but when he's promoting his movies and talking on talk shows, he comes across as very conversational, lifelike, human, and warm.
Over and over again. And then with I'll Be Back, I remember, as a matter of fact, we had in the beginning a dispute, the director and I, because I didn't feel comfortable with this I'll be back. Is this LL type of a thing. So I said to him, why don't I just, since I already...
So the interview is less than a minute into it so far, and he's already conversational, telling a story. Stories are what make any communicator more powerful, more interesting.
Talk like a machine. I might as well just say, I will be back. And he says, no, it doesn't sound as good. And I said, well, it sounds better to me. He says, let's just forget about the I'll be back. Let's just do I will be back. And
so he's telling the story, bringing in a character, James Cameron, the director, dialogue, where they were, and it just makes it compelling.
He says, Arnold, are you the writer here? What is going on here? And then
bringing in humor, and he's not afraid to make himself look bad. So that's what is so powerful here, is a lot of stars and a lot of business people tell stories, but they make themselves out to be the hero. And while he plays a hero in movies, he's here showing, demonstrating humility, that he didn't know any better, and he was sort of put in his place. He was just the actor, and he didn't know what would be a good line. He almost ruined one of the most famous lines in cinematic history, and he's not afraid to reveal. That makes him come across much more authentic.
I said, no, I'm not the writer. He says, well, I'm the writer. So I decide what we're going to do, and we're going to stay with I'll be back. And then that's exactly what we did. We shot 10 different takes with I'll be back, and then one of them they used. And we did not know this is going to be such a famous line until the movie came out. And I remember I walked in Central Park, and someone came up to me and said to me, says,
so again, he's going right into another story. It's got a clear-cut setting. Really look at the elements there. He's telling a story. He's introducing a character. He's introducing a setting. Let's see where he goes from there.
Can you repeat this line?
Now he's bringing in dialogue. See how he changes the voice. Now, again, it's not Meryl Streep level accent change, but he's changing his tone, making it more interesting.
Did you say in German? I said, which line? Well, I'll be back. And I said, I'll be back. And they said, no. The way you say.
No. Again, see how he's becoming another person. It's the speed, the change. His eyebrows go up. He's just completely expressive at every level.
They did in the movies. And the way you say in the movie was just perfect. And I said to him, I'll be back. And he says, yeah, that's it.
Look at, hey. He's not afraid to look silly. He's not afraid to sort of demonstrate exactly what the person in Central Park was saying to him. So this is in part what makes Arnold Schwarzenegger if not the best actor in the world, certainly one of the best promoters. He is great at going on talk shows, telling stories, showing his humanity, being interesting, being colorful, coming across likable and engaging. And this is not really a surprise. Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he was younger, single, was known for all sorts of activities on more of the wild side, shall we say. But he's been all business when it comes to his movies. He goes to the Cannes Film Festival and is notorious for doing more interviews than anyone else. He says, I don't go to parties, I don't go to dinners, I just do 100 interviews a day. It's basically his sentiment. And importantly, he treats each interview as if it were the most important interview he's ever done in his life. And he gives its all. So in that sense, he's a tremendous motivation to anyone trying to be a better communicator. Hi, I'm TJ Walker. In this channel, we give people tips, tricks, tools on how to be more successful communicators so they can be more successful in life. And we often do things like this, give reaction videos to celebrities, well-known individuals in their speeches, in their interviews too. If you want to become better at your own presentation skills, you may want to check out a free online training course I have, highstakespresenter.com. It's linked below in the description. You can go to highstakespresenter.com. If you're watching this on demand on YouTube, this sort of concludes the reaction to Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're now opening the floor for something we do each week here, which is the ability for anyone on YouTube, especially my students on Udemy, to ask me any question that relates to communication skills, success, confidence, and personal development. And I'm joined by our fantastic community manager, Barb Tomlin, part of what we do here on YouTube, as well as what we do in our weekly Facebook chat. Barb, how are you today?
Well, I was kind of caught off guard there. I was setting things up in our student community on Facebook. I'm sorry about that. Didn't realize that you brought me up. I think we got everything going right there at this point. And I do, for the Udemy benefit of our Udemy students, please check our Facebook group. I put the link to join us on YouTube right there on the video. And I will also, and I put the link to join us here in the studio, if you would like to do that. I put that in our chat for the event today. So all you have to do is click on the link there. I think we've got you covered. And our apologies for the technical difficulties that we've had today. What a trip.
It has been an exciting, challenging day with technology. Right. As far as my own keyboard decided it would not work for me after a year's good service, but now it's back in action. And that is one of the things that's different about live communication versus movies, TV, commercials, things that are on demand where you can edit it. And that's one of the things I really like about doing live stuff is it's not as slow and tedious. Like we just talked about Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's glamorous being a movie star, but I got to tell you, there's nothing more boring in the entire world than making a movie or making a TV commercial, because you may spend 2 days saying the same line. You know, he just mentioned the "I'll be back" 10 times. Sometimes you do a line 180 times. It's incredibly boring, and you got a lot of waiting around and let's move the camera here, let's change this light there. I'm personally not patient enough to do that. So that's why when I'm making videos, I'm typically telling myself, hey, I'm going to do this as if it were live and doing it in one take, because I don't have patience to do things 20, 30, 40 times around, which is one reason why I'm not a filmmaker, because you have to have tremendous discipline for that. But that's one of the things that's great about doing live YouTube, live Facebook, live public speaking in real life, is it gives you the discipline to think, react, cope with it, go with the flow. Don't obsess over being perfect. The one exception I do make when you're making videos is certainly don't stop and try to edit out every that's a waste of time. But the one exception I do make, that I did make earlier today, is if you feel like you completely screwed up in the first 5-10 seconds, rather than spending hours editing all these other things later, just hit delete and start over again, which is in fact what we did on this live stream today. I hope not to make a regular practice of that. Now I see someone has written, and it appears to be either Japanese or Korean or Chinese script. So I can't read the name, but someone is saying, hello, TJ. So
Yeah.
thanks so much for joining us. Oh, I believe this is our communications friend in Korea, if I'm not mistaken. So thanks so much for stopping by. And let me know if you have any question. If you're who I think you are, you're also in the communication space and you've said nice things about me in the past, much appreciated. But I would love to hear either a question from you or even a disagreement on communication. Certainly, there are a lot of communication cultural differences around the world, Asian countries versus versus the United States and Western countries. One of them relating to eye contact. For example, I've done trainings in Asia, but I've not done trainings in Japan. And there, my understanding is audiences quite often will give respect to a speaker by concentrating intently and actually closing their eyes. Whereas here in the West, and it is our friend from South Korea, it's good to see you. In the West, if your audience member is closing their eyes, that typically means you're being really boring. You've done something wrong. You need to come out and say something exciting or interesting. Also, in Japan, for formal business situations, it is much more common for there to be no hand movement and business speakers to have their hands on a lectern and to be much more rigid is what I've been told. Again, I've worked all over the world in 45 countries, but I haven't worked in Japan. And the reason I point that out there is anytime you get advice from me or anyone on the internet, you have to filter it through the prism of your own culture and what works and what doesn't work, because things can change. And I see our friend says he is from South Korea. Thanks for the compliment. You're welcome. And he says he's rooting for me. So thank you so much. And I'm just wondering if you want to come join us live, if you have the connection through StreamYard. Otherwise, if you would like to post a comment or a question there, would be happy to hear from you there as well. Barb, we had an awful lot of people joining us in our live chat on Facebook today, and all but one did not seem to be able to get their cameras to connect or their microphones to connect, which makes me think there's maybe something I did wrong or something with StreamYard or the internet. Because if one person makes a mistake, it's easy to blame it on them. But if everyone's having the same problem, sometimes that suggests a structural problem. Just wondering if you had any theories there.
I don't think it's StreamYard for sure. I don't know what it is for all of us today, but I'm seeing things on Facebook and I'm actually seeing things on YouTube too. So I would have to Google the news and see if something weird's going on. I really don't have an explanation for it, but I have gone back into our group. That's why I took myself off screen, because I've gone back into the group and, double check, make sure that the links are there. And so I've got you covered there. I don't know what to say. It's just one of those days.
Yes. Well, Barb, I want to get feedback from you because you and I have known each other many years now, worked together many years. We've had a lot of successes together, and we've had things that are not yet successful. I won't say failures, but some things that are not yet successful. I wanted to get your feedback on a few things. As you know, I've been experimenting radically with my YouTube channel. I've been on YouTube since 2005, and which doesn't really mean anything other than I'm old, because a lot of people, Ben Chang, who you may be familiar with, a great communications expert, he's been on YouTube for 2 years, less than 2 years, and he has more than 1 million followers. Yeah. So being on for a long time in and of itself doesn't seem to necessarily help that much. I want to get your feedback as I'm working on a certain theory, and I'll get your opinion on it. So right now I'm going to share my screen. So I've been doing short videos. Those of you unfamiliar, those are the videos on YouTube, less than 60 seconds, and most social media platforms have that. Now here's the one that just was released a few minutes ago, so it's too soon to tell about that. Here's one I did yesterday, crafting a captivating presence. That's been the worst performing one I've had in a long, long time. The one I did the day before, I analyze Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech just for one particular principle of his use of repetition and why I think it's a good thing. That, by my standards, went viral with 1.4, and according to the internal YouTube metrics, it has 1.5 thousand views, which is not bad for
Wow.
someone who's not a super famous
Right.
YouTuber. The day before that, 200 views. The day before that, 300 views. The day before that, Barbara Corcoran. I analyze some things about her and talk about her rise to success. In fact, the first speech she ever gave, she froze, was paralyzed, had to run out of the room, but she redeemed herself by the next day going to NYU, signing up to teach a class on real estate because she knew that would force her to get good at public speaking. Now we can see the day before that, 400 views, 300 views. All of these are about the same. Well, this one had 1,000 views. But here's another one with Deion Sanders, 3.2 thousand views.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you in the blunt terms, my wife says, yeah, TJ, people are tired. Don't want to look at your face. You're an old man. No one wants to look at your face. And she's very sweet. I don't mean to sound like I'm picking on her. But I am seeing a trend here.
It's
every
the celebrity.
Every single video I've done where the spotlight was on a public speaking skill, but through the prism of a well-known person, went viral, at least viral by my standards. If it's just me explaining information in more abstract terms or demonstrating, sometimes they went viral, but most of the time they didn't. In fact, the one video I had that one of my most successful, it is on my, if you can see the far right here, it says every time.
Mm-hmm.
That one had 4.3 thousand views, but the entire content is pictures of Mr. Beast and Bill Clinton, because I talk about the one thing they do well when they're presenting, which is they're always smiling when they're presenting. And I think, and we're not here to talk about politics, regardless of your opinions of Mr. Beast or Bill Clinton, but that is one thing I think they do that helps them as communicators, is they look like they're happy to be there and they have a smile. So one of the channels that I've been looking at, not copying, but I see as doing a fantastic job, and there's always lessons to be learned from successful communicators, is this channel, Charisma on Command. Now, they're not exactly doing what I do. They're a little more pop culture oriented. I think a little bit more geared towards young single people looking to help their social life. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not my specialty. And they have almost exclusively clips with famous people in them. And that's not a criticism. They do a lot of hard work and it's great scripts. They have 6.38 million subscribers. And they have many videos that have, this one has 20 million views on it.
Wow.
The first one there. So, and they've been at it a long time. So I give them a lot of credit. I'm not trying to be exactly like them, but I do think that they're onto something with this idea of, if you just talk about communications in the abstract, it doesn't interest people as much. Mm-hmm. If you talk about it through the lens of famous celebrities people know, like, admire, respect, think about, it just attracts a lot more attention. Now, there's someone else who I also have a lot of respect for, is Alex Lyon. And he is a communications professor in upstate New York. And he's done a fantastic job of really being very transparent about his agenda, his journey mm-hmm. as a YouTuber. And it took him almost 5 years to get to 100,000 subscribers. He now has 500,000 only a couple of years later. So there does seem to be an inflection point with a lot of YouTubers. They hit 100,000 and things start growing quickly. He does not do the celebrity thing nearly as much. You see his face, and he's certainly a very pleasant looking young man, at least young compared to me. And he's using his face as his image. But if you look at his most popular videos of all time, it is in reaction to other well-known people. There's his reaction video to Bill Gates. Here's one to a 1977 interview with Dolly Parton, and it's received 1.4 million. It's a fascinating analysis he gives, and it's a fascinating interview with Dolly. Here's one with Jordan Peterson. Now, he doesn't do reaction videos very often, but the ones he's done have been wildly successful. So 1, 2, 3. Here's one of Joe Rogan. 4, one of Tom Cruise. 5. So 5 of his 8 most popular videos in the 8 years he's had his site are reactions of celebrities, which maybe subconsciously it is why I started off today's show analyzing Arnold Schwarzenegger, because it is something that resonates with people. Now, last one I'll show is, you heard me mention him, Vin Jiang, who is an absolute superstar, not just on YouTube, but TikTok and other social media. And Barbara, are you going to say something?
Well, I noticed I subscribed to Alex, and so I went on my computer back to that screen to look, and the one with Dolly Parton's image on his the YouTube icon to that video got 4.5 million views. Yeah. 4.5 million views.
Yeah.
And I look on each one of his, I don't know why I'm having trouble with language this morning, but the icon that we use to bring to to attract people to our channel. If you look at all of his on there, he's on there, but there's been manipulation of the graphics so that the way that he stands out itself, if you watch your eyes going across the screen and just scrolling, it is attraction factor. It definitely brings you in. So if you recognize any of the other image personalities that he's put on screen with him, you're bound to just click on it to take a look. Yeah. And so
he's doing a fantastic job, and I predict that within 2.5 years he's probably going to have 1 million subscribers.
Yeah,
and quite an international following. Now, the new kid on the block, so to speak, is Vin Jiang. Let me just pull this up here. It is a fantastic channel he has. He consistently delivers information I think is useful, interesting, a little bit different, and insightful. And I'm a harsh critic when it comes to other communication skills experts. I do find him consistently good. The fascinating thing is almost all of his growth is coming from shorts. So when you look at his videos, his most popular video has 30 million views. He's not even in it. And it's a very touching one. I don't want to show it here I don't want anyone to think I'm stealing their content or get flagged. Yeah. But it's a very heartwarming, these 2 children. But you could see the second one, he's giving just lessons. It's really just simple of him talking for the most part.
Yeah.
And 15 million views, 9 million views, 9 million views. So he's got all of these short videos. Last time I counted, was nearly 30 videos that had more than 1 million views, which is fascinating. His longer videos, he only has 1 video. Now, I say only 1.9 million views on 1 video. I'd love to have that. So
yeah,
right. in no way mean to sound like I'm denigrating his long videos. But interestingly, he's basically breaking every rule of YouTube, as Barb, as you and I know it from Video Ranking Academy and other experts. He's doing vertical video, meaning it's the narrow one on your phone for his longer videos.
I'll be
His most
darned.
popular long video of all time is 1 minute 17 seconds, where so many of the experts say, oh, it should be 8 to 19 minutes.
Yeah.
He's reusing videos that he originally posted on Instagram and TikTok. Again, I'm not criticizing that. I'm simply pointing out.
If it's working, that's what's important.
Yeah, I'm pointing out you can learn the rules and the best practices, but sometimes you break them, especially if they work, and it's really, really working for him. I mean,
know. Yes.
Go ahead.
I noticed too, if you go up to the heading on his banner for his channel, he actually announces new videos Thursdays and Saturdays. So he's got to keep that up. He's got to keep that up to keep the audience coming. They're expecting it.
And he's not doing that anymore. He's now doing.
He's not.
He's doing
Fascinating
daily videos. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Which is what I'll be totally transparent, which is one reason why I'm doing daily videos now. If it works for him, why not?
Yeah.
Because his channel is less. It says join December 2021, which means it's less than 2 years old, and he has 180 million views.
Amazing.
I do want to point out for those of you.
He probably is on TikTok though, right?
Yes, 2 million subscribers, followers on TikTok.
There you go. Okay.
So it wasn't a cold start, but he's like everyone else on YouTube. He started with 0 followers and 0 subscribers. So it can happen very quickly sometimes. But he is consistently funny and entertaining. He was a magician, and he brings a certain flair. But it does show you don't have to just do it the way everyone says, because at least the last few years, so many people said do 1 video a week, 8 to 14 minutes long, maybe an occasional short, but he's doing them daily now. I mean, you can just see this one was 2 days ago, that one was 2 days ago, but he's doing shorts every day. Now, the shorts don't give you the timestamp necessarily, but the data, I mean, this will tell us his channel stats. He's putting out 44 videos in the last 28 days. So that's telling me he's doing more than 1 per day. By the way, the reason I know that, I didn't hack into any system illegally. I'm using a service called vidIQ. It's similar to TubeBuddy, and this is all public information. So if you see a channel you like and you want to learn more about them, it's telling me he's had 15 million views in the last month, which is crazy success in my view. When you add that with his audience on TikTok, he's clearly speaking to 1 million people a day.
Wow.
You think of you add up all the famous philosophers throughout history combined, they didn't speak to 1 million people in their lifetime in many cases. He's doing that in a day. So to be totally transparent with you, this does in fact give me inspiration and motivation, because I've been guilty in the past of letting myself off the hook, saying, well, public speaking, that's one of those things like dental floss. Yeah, everyone needs to know how to floss their teeth. But no one wants to go watch videos every day on flossing their teeth. So therefore, it's basically impossible to have a huge audience on YouTube or other places as relates to communication skills. And I had evidence. But to back that up, because I said, Dale Carnegie has been around for 100 years. Their YouTube channel has basically no views. Toastmasters, been around for almost 100 years. Hundreds of thousands of strong fans and supporters, but their YouTube channel has almost no views and subscribers, or very little. The National Speakers Association has been around for almost 50 years and well-respected organization of professional speakers, showcasing them, almost no views. So I had convinced myself, hey, it's not my fault, it's just my niche. And now looking at Vin and Charisma on Command and Alex, I realized, no, I'm just fooling myself. That's an excuse. The problem is not the niche. The problem is I never took the time to really learn what works on YouTube. Every platform is a little bit different. Now, I did take the time to learn what works well on Udemy after doing it the wrong way for 5 years. And I
Absolutely.
redid everything and I learned how that worked. And now, thanks to you, Barb, I have closing in on 2 million students. Whereas Alex and Ben are both on Udemy, and Ben has, I think, 3,000 students. He has a very good course on Udemy. He has 3,000 students on Udemy. So it's not that one person is a superstar on every single platform because they're just inherently a superstar. Ben has clearly learned what works on YouTube and social media short form video. And I tip my hat to him.
Yeah.
But it does remind me that I think you're fans of Marie Folio always says, everything is figure outable.
Right.
You can figure out Udemy if someone wants to do that. You can figure out YouTube if you spend enough time, energy, and effort on doing it. And that's part of my own quest right now, my own communications journey. Because if you are interested in speaking and public speaking and communicating, YouTube, when done right, is the greatest tool in the history of the world for people who want to communicate. Because as Vin shows, you can communicate with tens of millions of people in a month, which has just never been possible to anyone other than, I guess, dictators or the president of the United States and a few network anchors. But for everyone else, it was an absurd pipe dream.
Right.
And now, I mean, he's done it here in 21 months, which is astounding, absolutely astounding. By the way, if you're watching this and you have a question, feel free to post right there in StreamYard or on YouTube if you're there, or Facebook. We'll read it and respond to it. If you're watching this on demand, feel free to post any question you have related to communication here on the chat. I do read all the comments. At some point, if I have 10 billion subscribers and hundreds of millions of comments every day, maybe I can't, but I can say humbly now, I can read every single comment. So I'll read your comment. If you have a suggestion for a topic, communication related, that you'd like me to do a video on, let me know. Post it right here. I take those suggestions very seriously. Many of the videos I've done, certainly in the last month, have been because they are frequent questions from Udemy students, or they are questions people have posted right here on the YouTube channel. So you are listened to and you are heard. Also, if you have a video of a famous celebrity or thought leader like Bill Gates or CEO that you'd like me to critique one of their interviews, I'd be happy to do that. All you have to do is nominate that. Now, there's several places you could do that. You could post it on my Facebook page, my business Facebook page. If you're one of my Udemy students, you could post there. Something else that is available now, which I'm ashamed to admit I didn't even know about until a few weeks ago, is YouTube has a community page for every creator. So if you go to their homepage, so this is the Media Training Worldwide homepage. I'll just expand it so it'll be easier to see. You'll see home, videos, shorts, live, podcast, playlist, community. You hit community and you can post anything you want. I can post anything I want. You can say whatever you want. So that's a great place. And a lot of creators do polls asking their community what video they would like next. So that can be a great tool. So feel free to reach out there anytime. I do want to get some feedback from you, Barb, anyone else part of our Udemy student community, and for that matter, our friend, and I believe it's Moy, but our friend from South Korea who's with us. I would love your feedback because I'm going to redo the graphics on this page and make it more of a personal page because it's me. I don't want to promote the Media Training Worldwide brand. It's going to be TJ Walker Success or TJ Walker Communication or Speaking. It's going to be something like that. So I'm going to be changing the brand name for this channel. So I'm interested in anyone's opinions. Now, I used to have youtube.com/TJ Walker, and I'll save that story for another day, but that channel was deleted and banned by YouTube. This was a secondary channel I had that I used to just post business stuff on. So it became my primary channel. Now, what I think I can do, Barb, and you may know this, is I think I can change the handle, but I'm not 100% certain.
I wouldn't do it. Media training is that's a golden handle, in my opinion, because that is what you do. And I would also put the Media Training Worldwide probably in very low, at the lower right-hand corner of that's just a Media Training Worldwide production. And you, as the star, as TJ Walker, is the primary thing on that cover. And so media training is the subject. We're going to talk about everything, the communications. We're talking about storytelling. Are we not? Are we not going to talk about all those things?
So this is something I've given a lot of thought to. I'd love to get your feedback on, which is, what it is I do. Broadly, what I see I help people do is communicate effectively. And the words I've been focusing on most in the last month or so is I help people become more successful through confident communication. And communication involves speaking, presenting, podcasting, going on job interviews, training people. It does include speaking to the media, which involves media training. But presentation skills, communication skills are huge umbrella terms. And when you look at the daily search for videos on YouTube, on Google, there's a high amount of search for presentation skills, public speaking skills, communication skills, improved communication. Media training is like 0.001% of all these other. It's so much the smaller niche. Now, it's good to pick a niche sometimes, but if your niche is so small, you can't grow beyond a certain size pot. It can be self-limiting. So that's been my concern. The whole reason I became Media Training Worldwide is 20 some years ago when I started really a full-time business of communications training. I was targeting public speaking training, presentation skills, the whole range. And what I found is I could never get to the top 100 pages on Google for public speaking or presentation skills. There was so much less competition for media training that by posting a few videos, writing some blog posts, talking about it, I was able to get on the top page, the first page, for my old business, which was just TJ Walker Communications. And because I was on the home page for media, or the first page when someone Googled media training, I was then getting more business for media training. It was more specialized. So in talking to my SEO team at the time, I said, well, this whole search engine stuff, SEO stuff seems to be working, because this is back in the day when I was taking ads in trade publications and newspapers, basically. None of that worked. But the SEO, getting my tjwalker.com on the first page for media training, that drove business. I said, what can I do to do this even more? They said, well, do more web pages, do more websites. And I said, I'm also thinking of changing the name of my business. What do you think I should do? They said, look at the term people are actually using to find you and hire you, and make the name of your business that term. Well, mediatraining.com was already taken. And so that's how we came up with Media Training Worldwide, was I needed one more word to go with media training, which in retrospect, it's a horrible name because it's too long, but it was a perfect name for SEO, because it then did, in fact, go to #1 for a long time, more than a decade.
Mhm.
If you typed in media training on Google, it's still typically in the top 10. But that's the reason I have that. So I got pigeonholed into it because and I genuinely love media training, and it is more specialized than presentation skills. But I'm in that in part because there is such less competition, and it's easier to market that. But when you look at, for example, Udemy, I have probably 40 courses that relate to media training,
Mhm.
and almost none of my revenues come from the media training courses. They're all coming from the communication skills, the public speaking courses, because it's such a larger universe. So that's in part what makes me gun shy about sticking with a
Okay.
media training label, because when when the playing level is when the playing field is leveled, as it is sort of in the Udemy ecosystem, and I can compete, 98% of my customers and students are coming seeking out either communication skills, public speaking skills, or presentation skills. So those are the terms I'm much more interested in, because that's what
Mhm.
the audience is interested in.
Well,
Thoughts?
in listening to you, I'm getting some feedback on my voice here, but in listening to you, and when I said, well, media training is a good handle, like, at youtube.com, media training, it's easy to remember. We both were in business in the 20th century as well as the 21st. We've been
But
involved with,
not the 19th, for anyone
yeah.
who wants to make that suggestion.
I actually have a table that's from the 18th century.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, when we look at it, I know that when I got started, I was marketing communication technologies, because it was the fax machine. It was, I mean, we're going way back, clear from the telephone. And then each of these, each new thing that we had, it was still a communication tool. And so now media today doesn't mean the same thing as it did in the 20th century. You and I think of media training more from the publicity side, being on television, being on radio, and then, but I think that's changed. And
Oh, definitely, because now everything
so
is media. If you're speaking in front of a camera, as we are, you need media training for that. So I agree.
exactly.
The
And
field
so
of media training has expanded, but people who are looking for the term or typing in a term, media training, is still very, very tiny. That's
is it?
that's my problem from a marketing standpoint.
Okay. Well, you've definitely enlightened me, and I think that, I have been on YouTube, I think this time around since 2007. And again, I was reluctant on that because of timing, but it's the second largest search engine in the world. And now what is leading the news is that SEO is dead. It's all about AI and positioning, everything that you do, because it's going to be pulling information in. It's not about SEO anymore. So in the last couple of weeks, I think I've been reading several articles on that. And so it's really how we're going to solve their problems. So I would have to, because I've taken over 186 completed of your courses, and I'd have to go back and look at that, because, and you look at the number of students in each one, and what the actual, because you had additional information in your topic, which of course was to lead them in by search. And I think that it's definitely a day of awakening, because what we just learned in this video today in particular is going against, we were all taught certain things, and here he went off and he saw that he was going viral on TikTok, and he knew that Udemy was the second largest search engine in the world. I mean, kids are
YouTube.
really sharp.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Mhm.
Udemy head. But I mean, it's YouTube being the second largest search engine. And then what he's done there about, when we look, because I immediately looked up at the top and goes, oh, he's letting everybody know he's going at a certain time of week. But oh no, he's come in and he's gone live every day. And it's very raw and real. But the other elements are he's very magnetic because of his body language, which is part of communication. He's got a story, and the magic side of it, he has an act. He has
Some
props
pizzazz.
and
Yeah.
things to bring that, the showmanship. So
Mhm.
he brings all of that to the table, and yet he's very raw and real. He's just very relaxed and laughs about it and
And a
we
lot of
all
his
need to laugh.
videos, I mean, a lot of his videos are he's got a spare second in an airport, and he's just reflecting on a question
Right.
someone asked him earlier in the day. So it's not about the
Some-
fanciest studio or lighting in a lot of
So
cases.
exactly. And when, like I said, I thank you for enlightening me on that, because I'm going to go back and look at that again, because I really haven't been concerned whether I had subscribers on YouTube. I was using it as an archive, quite frankly, for secondary video, uh, for my live streams and my storytelling that was not public.
Mhm.
And so I look at it now, and I think, and I am a student also of Sean Cannell's, and I I love having the lifetime access. I would highly recommend Sean's course to anybody, because it's like the get around to it people. You can finally get around to it, and it'll still be there, and it will be up to date. But
Mhm.
you got me thinking about that, is that I've always said be raw and real, because when you come across, and in the last 5 years, the word authentic, be authentic, and I said, what you see is what you get. And, and now, because I didn't used to, I mean, we were both brought up in media that when you go on stage, you have all kinds of makeup on, it's complimenting you, and the lighting and so forth. And now it's a matter of just jumping in. And I look at how things have changed, and I see how that young man has the numbers to prove that that works.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
I'm kind of, but me, from the marketing communications technologies, I'm a beta tester. I want to test things out. I want to see if things work. And I think, that's an interesting challenge, because he's just doing that from his phone, like you said. So it's easy. He can grab it, touch and go. And you know how I feel about that press the button thing, that once you get over that hurdle, because that is a sign of confidence in itself, just to be able
Mhm.
to take a deep breath, press the
Yeah.
button, and
And he does have a
connect.
studio, and he does have longer
Yeah.
traditional form ones and nice production values. But interestingly, that's not what's driving all of his traffic and
Yeah.
high numbers. It is
And
those shorts.
what you
And
said about the communications tab, I had talked to you about that before, and it really hadn't been built out there. And I think that's a great way to do it, and to actually use, in referring to the shorts
Mhm.
and that. So,
I read somewhere the other day, and it may have been on Video Ranking Academy, and forgive me, I don't have the source, but something like 77 of the top performing YouTube channels now are only shorts.
wow.
The shorts have taken off, and there's more demand for shorts than there's supply. So, and I'm seeing that on my own channel, that the average short gets 3 times the views of the average long video. But the long video is where you generally make more money, not just from advertising, but if you're promoting a business or you're promoting affiliate links. So most people do still think it's very important, and I think it's important to have long videos, because in the long videos, that's when you can build more of a relationship and say, please subscribe and
Yeah.
leave a comment, notifications. You can promote other things you're doing. Like I promote my high stakes presenter, because I want
Yeah.
people to go get that training video to learn more about me and how I help people. And a certain percentage of them then want to come in and get coaching in our 8-week coaching program. So there's a subtle little subtle little plug, not so subtle plug for the high stakes presenter, which
Yeah.
is linked in the description below as well once this is posted.
Yeah.
I did want to, I was remiss in not responding to one of the comments, because our friend and colleague in South Korea wrote some more nice things. And he's commenting that he likes what I said about voice. He said, you said that there's
I think I have.
0.0001% people that have a voice that's so bad. Bad voice has nothing to do with fluent speaking. So you might think that you have a bad voice. Chances are nobody else cares about your voice or notices your voice. What happens to people and I've said this in courses and a lot of videos, is it just sounds weird to you because all day long when you're talking, you hear your own voice, but you hear it distorted through the bones in your skull. So when you hear your voice from a YouTube video or a voicemail or some other recording, it sounds weird because it's like, oh, what is this strange thing? Because you're now hearing it just through your ears. It's non-distorted. So it's not your self-image of your voice. So because it sounds weird, people then interpret that as, oh my God, I have an awful voice, or I hate my voice. And it's just, you're not used to it, which is yet another reason why the people who stick with YouTube and do it for 5 years or so become so confident, and they get better and better because they're so used to the sound of their own voice. It doesn't annoy them anymore. And when it doesn't annoy you, then you have no extra speed bumps preventing you from making another video or giving another pitch or speaking or being successful in other areas. Because if you listen to the voices, and it also improves your voice because you get more confidence. If you listen to the voices of Mr. Beast or Sean Cannell when they did their first videos, they're very low energy like this and sound bored and boring. And now they're both great and wildly successful and making plenty of money.
Right.
In part, they got used to the sound of their own voice. And I've been listening to my voice for so long, it's hard for me to have a different perception of my voice. But for most people, that's not really the situation, which is why you want to keep doing it. And I have to have a little bug in my own throat, learning moment, always have water nearby when you're speaking. Gaith writes in, says, the voice is breaking down, no sound. Are you hearing me okay, Barb? Because
yeah, I see that. I'm hearing you fine.
Okay.
And
well, Gaith,
so
I apologize if there's anything technically wrong on our end.
it could be the speed of the internet access that you have and just the signal at the time. So you might refresh. I don't know how you're joining us, whether it's by phone or other smart device or whether it's from a computer, but you can refresh your connection and see if that doesn't work better for you. So we're getting close to the we're getting close to the hour here, TJ.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye.
I don't want to take more of your time. Gaith is not hearing anything. Maybe another good reason to be quiet.
Yeah.
The internet gods are telling us, TJ, you've talked too much today. All right. Thanks so much, Barb. Gaith, thanks.
You're quite
Molly,
welcome.
thanks for stopping by. And I'll see all of you next week. Thanks a lot.